Oh, TK, back to YouTube. Sorry for the yawn there, guys. Been a long day. It was a long day for me. So we're getting through it. We're gonna power through it. I'm gonna get you guys this information so you guys can review it. Okay. All right. So blood types, guys. All right, blood types. So a lot of people, at least when in the last couple classes, we're getting a little confused. At least with the blood typing activity. I'm gonna try and explain a little bit better here for you guys and show you guys on paper what this should look like. Okay. But blood types. Remember, we have 4 types total. All right. The main 4 blood types, the main antigens that we have. Okay. Remember, an antigen is typically a protein, a glycoprotein, or a glycolipid that, when it is bound with an antibody, can trigger an immune response. But the antigen is like the flag. All right. The flag that each of our blood cells hold. Okay. Tells it what type it is. The antibody is basically like the military that our flag is trained to fight against. Okay. So if we have a type A antigen, all right, so we're team A, right? We're team A. We're going to train our military to fight against type B team, right? Because we don't like them, all right? So that's what the antibodies are. The antibodies are the military that we have trained to fight against other blood types that try to come in and destroy our team, attack our team, okay? So type A blood has A antigens on the cell surface. Type B has type B antigen on the cell surface, okay? Then we have our other 4 kind of special blood types here, okay? Type AB blood has both A and B antigens on the cell surface. So this is a team that has learned to coexist. So where type A and type B has learned to coexist together, which is why they're called type AB, okay? Type O is kind of like that team that wants to stay neutral in this battle, okay? So a lot of countries, back in like World War II area, decided to stay neutral, all right? Didn't want to get involved in the war. That's sort of what type O is, okay? They don't have a team. They're not affiliated with a team. But they have a military, they have the antibodies to fight up against any team that tries to go in to their country, aka any team, any blood type that tries to donate to type O, okay? They have the army, they have the antibodies to fight against that, all right? So that's what we have here, 4 blood types, okay? So for example, a person will generate antibodies against any antigen they don't have on the surface of their own blood. So for example, if someone is type A blood, they will have the A antigen, the A flag, okay? But they'll have the antibodies to the B antigen. Okay, so their military will be designed to fight against the B antigen, the B blood type. Okay, essentially what let's talk about. So, quick question. Which antibodies will someone with type O blood have? Remember, type O blood is neutral. They don't want any part of what's going on, okay? And they don't want anybody telling them otherwise. So they are going to be designed to fight against both the A antigen and the B antigen, okay? Which antibodies will someone with type AB blood have? Remember, perfect world coexistence. Teams A and B, they learn how to coexist together. And since they have that, they have no reason to fight against one another. So because of that, they're not going to have any antibodies, okay? They're not going to care, all right? Coexistence, world peace, beautiful. All right, so I'm going to skip over this for a second. So remember, these are the 4 main blood types, but then we have that accessory blood type down here, the RH blood group, remember? So this is another set of antigens on the blood cells, and every single one of us has this, okay? The most reactive of this set is the antigen D, all right, commonly referred to as the RH factor. If a person has the D antigen, they are considered to be RH positive, aka you're considered to be a positive blood type, all right? If you do not have the RH factor, you're considered to be a negative blood type, all right? So a person's blood type here, very, very important here, okay? Your blood type is expressed as a combination of both your A, B, O antigens. So are you type A, B, or O? And then are you negative or positive? Okay. So for example, if a person has the A antigen and is RH positive, all right, they have the D antigen, they are A positive for their blood type. Okay. Keep in mind that the antigen G is like any other antigen. Blood with its antigen should only be donated to individuals that have that. Okay. Hence why positives can only donate to positives. All right. Being Rh negative is like being a type O because you have no D antigen present, okay? So because of this, Rh negative, so negative individuals can donate to positives and to negatives too, all right? So that's these 2. So that's how it is. We have our main antigens, A, B, ABO, and we have the accessory ones, positive, negative, all right? So answer this question real quick. Continuing with our example, this means that if someone is type A blood, they can donate to anyone with the type A antigen, so that would be A or AB. They can receive blood from anyone with type A or O. Remember, O has no antigens that will cause a reaction, so it's fine. But they must never receive blood with someone that has the B antigen, so that be a type B or type AB, okay? So 2A, a person with type O blood can safely donate to people with which blood types? Type O, as you guys know, and probably have learned at this point, is considered to be the universal donor, okay? So he can donate to A, B, both of them together, AB or O, okay? A person with type AB blood can safely donate to people, okay? These guys are very, very specific, okay? Because remember, we cannot donate AB to a B because we have the B antigen, so the military from type B blood is going to fight against it, okay? Can't do that. Same thing with type A, all right? Military for type A is going to fight against it. Cannot donate to type O. Remember, type O wants no part of whatever's going on, so they don't want people coming in, but they're free to leave and go to other countries, free to donate. They just don't like receiving. So because of that, AB can only donate to itself. It's a very selective blood type, okay? They're very, very selective, okay? So that's that. So if for some reason, if you have a blood type such as an A that donated to a B, what's going to happen is, we saw yesterday and the day before on Monday and Tuesday, is this agglutination reaction, okay? In this type of reaction, the antibody, all right, will bind together two or more antigen molecules from different cells, thus forming a very large antigen-antibody complex that eventually will get destroyed by the immune system, all right? This is why it is critical when giving blood transfusions that the recipient's blood does not agglutinate the donor's blood. A mismatch causes a transfusion reaction in which agglutinated blood can block blood vessels, release free hemoglobin into the bloodstream, as seen here in this figure, in this picture, okay? Therefore, that's why you always, when you donate blood or if you're receiving blood, you have to know what your blood type is, so that way you're getting the correct blood type, either receiving or donating it. Okay? All right. And we're going to talk about this in our next paragraph down here. But first, question 3. A person with type B plus blood can safely receive from who? All right, so remember, Bs can only receive from Bs, okay? That's the first one. So Bs, especially B plus, you can only receive from B minus, because remember, minus can donate to a positive. They can receive from a B plus, B positive. But they can also receive from O, because they're considered the universal donor, okay? So they can also receive from an O negative, or they can receive from an O positive, because positives can donate to positives too, okay? So these 4 blood types, all right? How about this one? A person with type A minus can safely receive blood from who, okay? So same thing here. A's can only receive from A's, okay? But they can also receive from O's because of universal donorship, okay? But since they have this negative, all right, what does this mean? Remember, negatives can only take in blood from other negatives, okay? So because of this, an A negative can only receive from itself. Also, it can only receive from the universal donor, O negative, okay? So only 2 blood types there it can affiliate itself with, all right? So the agglutination, okay. Remember, this was the experiment that we did, all right? So what we had you guys do is we had our friend, and actually, let's go back to our, I'm going to download real quick our worksheet that we did for the blood typing. So we'll download this. We'll get this opened up for you guys. You guys can see this. I'll pull this over in a second, okay? All right. So here we go, blood compatibility. So remember, Mike's our guy, right? Remember, Mike got into a very, very bad car accident, lost a lot of blood or whatever it was. So he has some friends with him, though, and we had to figure out which of his friends would be ideal candidates for donating blood to him, okay? So we had to do that. To do that, we had to figure out what their blood type was, and we had to use these vials to do so, okay? Pull this over for a second. So remember, what was in here, okay? What were the rules that we had? So in the vials, remember, we had a third vial here, okay? Third vial was called anti-D, okay? Anti-D. But what's in these? So if it says anti-A, anti-serum, all right, that means that there are A antibodies in here, okay? So basically, if there are A antibodies in here, remember, this is my tip and trick, okay, for figuring this out. If we know that inside this vial there are A antibodies, that means that this blood type is just a generic B B-type blood, okay? Just a generic B-type blood that's in here, okay? If there are, once again, anti-B antiserum contains the B antibodies, all right? So if it just contains B antibodies in this vial, that means that it is a generic A blood type, okay? So it is a type A blood generic. It's not a positive or negative, it's just a generic, okay? Generic antigen A. Same vial over here, anti-D. Remember, if it's anti-D, it has the D antibodies, okay? So if it has D antibodies, all right, that means that it is a generic negative blood type that is in this vial, okay? Just negative, doesn't have A, doesn't have B attached to it. It is just strictly negative there, okay? So what's going to happen, okay? So if we're looking for things that are agglutinating, okay, what's going to happen? If it agglutinates, it's going to take on this kind of splotchy looking appearance, okay? Versus if it has kind of a clear, bloody looking appearance as it does here, nice and smooth, that means we have no reaction, okay? So the splotches, bad, bloody, good, okay? So remember, first rule right here, okay? Remember what the second rule is, okay? Remember, it is the blood that is being donated to the anti-vials. Not vials, the vials, okay? So it is the blood that each of our friends have, which we'll show in a second. It's being donated to what's ever in the vials. So even though we sprinkled, we put drops of these, whatever's in these vials onto the blood, what's really happening is the blood was being donated to the vials here, okay? Let's prove it to you. I'm going to prove it to you just to make sure we can get that down straight. So regardless, we know that if type A were to donate to a type B, it's going to agglutinate. We know that. All right, that makes perfect sense. Okay, and vice versa. If B donated to type A, it's going to agglutinate, right? If B donated to B and vice versa here, it's not going to agglutinate because remember, B's can donate to B's, right? So here, this is the big part. This is how we determine, how we know that it's the blood that's being donated into the vials, okay? So if type B, so if the anti-A serum was being donated to this type AB blood, we should have no problem, right? Because a B-type blood can donate to someone that has AB blood, right? Because that's possible, that's feasible, right? It matches up. But we cannot have someone that has type AB blood donating to type B, okay? Because they have these antibodies in here that are going to fight against this A, all right? They have the A antibodies, they're going to fight against this A antigen. They don't want them coming in, okay? So because we know that, because we see this pattern, that means that whatever the blood is being donated to the vial. So that's the way it's taking place, okay? It's not receiving it, it's donating it. That's why we're seeing these reactions here, okay? So furthermore, let's bring over our example, okay? Let's bring over Word document, perfect. So as it says here, no reaction, looks really good, agglutination, all that splotch, all the splotchiness there, okay? So let's zoom in here, okay? If we can. So I think there's a way to zoom this in. There we go, zoom. Say view, zoom. Let's go to 150% here. Perfect. All right, beautiful. Okay, so Mike, how are we going to determine what Mike's blood type is here, okay? So how are we going to do this? So remember, it's the blood that's being donated to the vial, all right? So let's write here too. We're going to insert a text box. Simple text box here. What is going on here? Things might get a little jostled here because of this, okay? So we're going to have, remember, anti-A has A antibodies, so that is going to be type B. Add a little space here. Let's move our friend down. Perfect. So type B. So a space here. Remember, this is going to be type A because if it has the B antibodies, that means it is type A blood, okay? And then over here, add our little separation. This is going to be just a negative. It's going to be negative type blood that's in this anti-D vial, okay? All right. So we know that. Add another text box here. If we can. Perfect. We're going to bring this guy down here. That. Extend. Bring it down. Perfect. Now we can write everything out. Awesome. Okay. So Mike's blood is being donated to someone that has type B blood, okay? A reaction is not occurring here. All right, reaction is not occurring here. So what that means, okay, is that Mike's blood can either be a type B right now or O. All right, because remember, O can donate to B because it's universal donor. Okay, A cannot donate to B. It will agglutinate. Since we're not seeing that, that leaves us with these two options. Okay, perfect. Next one here. Next one over. Mike's blood is being donated to type A blood. We see that reaction. Okay, remember, type O is universal donor, so it should have no problem donating to either type B or type A. But since we're seeing a problem here, that eliminates O as being our option. Okay, that eliminates that. So we know that Mike is either going to be a B minus or a B plus here because of that. Okay, but now how do we determine that? Anti-D vial. Okay, so remember, negatives can donate to positives or negatives, but positives can only donate to positives. Okay, so since we're seeing something in his blood is being donated to a negative blood type and it's agglutinating, that must mean that Mike is going to be a B plus blood type here. Okay, that must mean that. All right, there's no other option. Okay, so Mike's blood is going to be a B positive there. All right, guys. So that's the one we need to know. We need to know which one he is, and that's what he is. Okay. So next, what are we going to do? Kim. So Kim here, she's going to be donating her blood. All right, she's donating to both type B, type A, a negative. We see agglutination across the board. Okay. So if we're seeing this, okay, across the entire board, okay, that means that there's something in her blood that reacted here, reacted here, reacted here. So it can't be O. It's not a universal donor. Can't be A, because if it was type A, we should have no reaction here. Can't be B, we should have no reaction here. So that means that she is AB, okay? She's an AB blood type. Now, is she negative or positive? Well, same thing for Mike here. If it agglutinates over here, that means that you are a positive, okay? So she is AB positive. She is the true universal recipient of blood because she can take in blood from any blood type possible, all right? She can receive from all of it, all right? So we got Kim out of the way. We have our friend Ajax down here, okay? So Ajax, all right, he donated his blood, all right, to a B blood type and it reacted, okay? We had an agglutination reaction, okay? That leaves us with the notion, all right, that he is either going to be, all right, he's going to be an A blood type, okay? Or he could be potentially O because we see over here, right, that he did not agglutinate. But since he did here, all right, that leaves us with the possibility that he can't be a universal donor, okay? So he's going to be an A blood type, did not agglutinate under the negative symbol, which means that our friend Ajax is going to be A negative, okay? He's A negative blood type, all right? June, all right. So obviously on paper, you can see the trend that we have here, but when you guys were doing the experiment, what you guys should have seen was that June, she donated her blood to a type B. Looks good. Perfect. That means she's either a B or an O. But then it agglutinated here when she donated to a type A. That leaves us with the result that she has to be a B type. And then once again, she agglutinated with the negative. So that means that she's B plus. All right. And then our last friend, Frankie, down here, okay, looks fantastic across the board. And this is what you guys should have seen. So he donated to both type B, donated to type A, had no agglutination reaction, which means that he must be a type O, okay? And then once again, he donated to a negative and had no reaction, okay? Negatives can only donate to negatives and have no reaction, which means that our friend Frankie here is an O negative, okay? So these are our blood types, all right? We had Mike as a B plus, Kim A B plus, Ajax A negative, we had June B plus, and then Frankie O negative, okay? So what does this mean? To save Mike's life, we must find a donor, okay, if any of his friends can donate blood to him. Which of Mike's friends on your list is the first choice to donate blood? The first choice, you always want to do this, all right? You always want to match up the first choice as being someone that is the exact same blood type, okay? So June here is our first choice, all right? June is the ideal candidate because she has the exact same blood type as Mike. So she's my first choice, okay? The exact same blood type. Okay. Transfusion is made, but the emergency team needs more blood, okay? So June's out of blood. She can't donate anymore. Mike's first choice has donated all the blood she can. The blood of which of Mike's friends, although not a preferred donor, could still be used in this emergency, okay? So who could be used? Remember, we can't have a type A donating to a B. Type AB cannot donate. We already used up June. That leaves Frankie. But more importantly, Frankie is considered a universal donor because he is O negative, okay? So Frankie, our friend here, Frankie can be used because he is the universal donor. All right. And yeah, that's everything here. Awesome, guys. So that is a little example, okay? That's how we did it. This is perfect world. This is what it looks like on paper. Obviously, I know you guys had some mishaps when you guys were doing it with the the petri dishes and stuff. Not perfect. There's always room for error with that stuff. It's not perfect. Sometimes it doesn't work, but this is what it should have looked like for you guys, okay? So these are our answers. Okay, so with that, guys, don't save. So we're good down here. Let's fill out the blood types compatibility chart real quick, all right? And then we will be all good with this video. So what do we know here, guys? So the A blood type, all right? What antigens does this guy present with? It is always A, all right? Antibodies, it does not like the B, so it has B antibodies, okay? Who can it receive blood from? A can receive from A, also from O. Remember, O is a universal donor. A and O. Can only donate to A and also to B, okay? Remember, B has no antibodies. We'll fill that in down here in a second. So just flip-flop this one. So antigens that B has, antibodies B has. Who can it receive from? B and O. Not BO, not like body O, or B and O, okay? It can also donate to B and AB, all right? Beautiful. What about AB? This one has both, remember. This one has A and B antigens. No antibodies because they're perfect world. Remember, learn to coexist together. They can receive, all right? Remember, these guys are the universal recipients, okay? So I'm just going to write here all right? They can receive from all antigens, A, B, and O, okay? All of them. They can only donate, though. They're very selective who they can donate to. This is AB only, all right? Just AB. Oh, antigens? Nope. Remember, these guys take a step back. They don't want any part of this, A and B debacle. So these guys don't have any antigens. But they have all antibodies, okay? So they have the A, they have the B, all right? They don't like it, okay? They don't like when these guys try to come in and tear up their country. So they are built to defend against A and B antigens, okay? Who can they receive blood from? They can receive blood only from O's. They're very selective who they let into their country. And same thing here. Who can they donate to? These guys are the universal donors. So it's AB, O, AB. Perfect. All right. And RH, remember this is the D antigen down here, okay? So if you're RH plus, it means that you have that D antigen present. You don't have any antibodies against it. You can receive blood from positive and negative. You can only donate to positives, all right? If you are negative, it means you do not have the D antigen, but you have the antibodies to fight against it. So because of that, you only like to have negatives come on in, but the same thing you can give away to negative and positive, all right? Beautiful. All right, and guys, that's it. That's it for Lab 1. So that is blood. So let's go up here, learning objectives. We for sure did all this. We talked about the blood types, all right? Antigens, antibodies for each group. We did the table, interpreted results from the agglutination reactions to determine blood type, and we helped determine blood type compatibility, all right? So if you can nail down all these learning objectives, you guys will be golden come next week for our first quiz, our first celebration, okay? So feel free to watch this video, study up on it, okay? If you have any questions in the meantime, shoot me an email. Besides that, I will see you guys next week for our first quiz celebration. Remember, it's all on paper, no practical, all right? So besides that, guys, have a good rest of your week. Get these videos out for you guys, and TK is out.